Hi guys, hope you enjoyed your 2 snow days. I am actually down in San Antonio with my academic decathlon team competing for state competition, so I am not going to be back in school until next Monday. Some quick updates for us is that our portal is updated with all grades, including your Unit 7 test, so everything's updated there. And because of our snow days, everything got shifted 2 days on your agenda. So this is homework 5.2, which hopefully you picked up on the way in. This is going to be due next week, and everything is moved down. So that means that we're technically here. This is going to be on Wednesday, and this will be your Thursday assignment. This will be your Friday assignment, and then these kind of all shift to next week. So that'll be Monday, and then this quiz will be on Tuesday. We will also have a test next Friday, so make sure that if you're struggling with any of the things that we're doing right now, go to the Twitter page and look for some homework help. You can always rewatch the videos that are shown in class. There's a little QR code or the link to them on top of your notes, so you can go home and watch them again. And then make sure you're checking with other teachers for tutoring times. That purple sheet outside my door has everybody who's here. Don't forget about Mrs. Cole. Today we are going to set up Unit 8. Page 94 is going to be blank. Make sure you have all your supplies ready to go before we start. Alrighty, so we are going to set up Unit 8 in your notebook. So page 94 is going to be blank. Remember, we like to have our little sticky tabs on the right side. So then page 95 will be your title page for Unit 8. Unit 8 is called Factoring. Right here, Factoring. And then page 96, instead of gluing a words worth knowing, we're going to glue in that blue factoring flowchart. Okay, so that blue piece of paper you picked up, it's going to go on page 96. And then page 97 will be our notes for today, greatest common factor. Make sure this is not the last time that you see this page in your notebook. And if you need an 8 tab, please raise your hand and get one of them from the teacher. Thank you. Okay, again, you're going to have this on page 95. And on page 96, we are going to glue in that blue sheet of paper that says factor flowchart at the top. Okay, so this will just go on page 96, just glue it in on the back. Okay, if you'd like to pause here, so that way they have enough time to glue everything in, go ahead. Alrighty, hopefully you have Unit 8 set up. So we are talking today about the greatest common factor. So the other piece of paper that you picked up will go on page 97. The title is Greatest Common Factor. Your essential question is, how do I factor or undistribute a polynomial expression using GCF? GCF is greatest common factor, going to be abbreviated. Okay, so how do I undistribute? Last week we talked about multiplying 2 polynomials together to get a bigger polynomial. Now we're going to be working backwards in order to figure out what 2 things multiplied to give me that bigger expression. So again, make sure your essential question is copied at the top of your page. How do I factor or undistribute a polynomial expression using the GCF? We're going to go ahead and define greatest common factor for the GCF. Again, I'm going to call it right here, and you'll probably see that on a quiz. So the definition of greatest common factor is the product of the greatest integer, that's just a whole number, and the greatest power of each variable that divides evenly into each term. Okay, so really what we're saying here is the things that multiply together, the smallest that I can take out of these different terms. Okay, so the GCF again is a product, so you're going to multiply everything together. And it has to be a whole number, and then the greatest power of each variable, so the greatest exponent that you can take out. go ahead and pause here if you need some extra time to copy down that definition. So on number 1, it says find the GCF of the given monomials. Remember, monomials just something with one term. So I have my first term on number 1 is 16. My second term on number 1 is 24. And what I'm going to do here in order to find GCFs of two things is I'm going to go ahead and make a factor tree, or just list out all the factors of each of my numbers or each of my expressions. So when I think about the factors of 16, I have 1 and 16. Okay, something that multiplies together to give you this number. We have 2 and 8. And then we have 4 and 4. Okay, I can't think of any others. 5 doesn't work, 6 doesn't work. Once they repeat, you can stop listing them out. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing for 24. So when I think about the factors of 24, we're going to want to try to go in order. So let's just start with 1. 1 times 24 gives me 24. 2 goes into 24 because it's even, and it would be 2 times 12. Then we know 3 does go into 24. It goes in 8 times. And then 4 goes into 24. It goes in 6 times. 5 doesn't, 6, and then it starts repeating. Okay, so really all I've done here is I've listed out everything that multiplies together to give me the number on top of that t-chart. Once I have my lovely t-chart listed out, I'm going to go in here and see the biggest number that goes into both. So again, you want the biggest number on both charts. So if I look, it's not 16, not 24, not 12. Oh, look, 8 appears in both of them, and it's the biggest that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and cross out all my other things, and I know that my GCF of these two terms is 8. Okay, and I know we didn't have to go through all of that in order to figure out that 8 was the biggest number that divided into both of them, but it's going to help us when I look at something like number 2, where there are letters. Okay, so let's look at number 2. If I go ahead on here and I make another t-chart underneath each of my monomials, think about the things that multiply to get me 15. 1 in itself, 2 doesn't, 3 does, 3 times 5. Okay, and then that's all I can do. Then I'm going to go ahead and not forget my letters. This little 3 on the Y means that there are 3 Y's. So I'm just going to go ahead and list out my 3 Y's here. Then I'm going to do the same for the other thing. So I know there's a negative out front. We're going to ignore it for 1 second and think about the factors of 20. So I have 1 in 20. I have 2 in 10. 3 doesn't. 4 does. And 5. And then it starts repeating again. So once it starts repeating, you just finish. Okay, again, this little 2 means that there's 2 Y's in this expression. So I have all of the numerical factors of my number in the front, my coefficient, and then I list out all the letters too. So then I go back and I decide, well, what's the biggest number that goes into both? Well, it looks like it's just 5. Well, I tried to circle 15 there. I'm going to cross off the other ones. And then I think about how many of these Y's I could take out that are evenly divided in there, the greatest power of each variable. Well, I can't take out 3 Y's because there's only 2 Y's here. So really the lowest number of Y's that you have is going to be the amount of Y's that you can actually take out. So there's going to be one little Y left. That's okay, we'll deal with him later. But the GCF here is going to be 5, the number we circled, and then 2 Y's, so I'll write that as 5Y squared. Again, basically you're looking for the smallest number of Y's on any one term, or smallest number of letters. Okay, let's look at number 3. Again, numbers. Go through here. Always pick one in the number. Then you think, okay, 21, haha, 2 doesn't go, 3 does, and 7. And then nothing else would go in there. And then there are 2 P's and 1 Q. One thing, if you notice, I did put my different letters on different rows. It'll kind of help you divide them more evenly. Okay, organize your thoughts. 35, same way, 1 and 35. And then 5 and 7, that's all that goes in there. Then again, there's 1 P and 2 Q's. Going to go back through and see which is the biggest number that divides into both. It's 7. And then again, since there's only 1 P here, I can only take out 1 P. Since there's only 1 Q here, I can only take out 1 Q. It has to be the smallest exponent pretty much. So then I know that my GCF is going to be the number I circled, 7, 1p, and 1q. If there's nothing in common in between your two terms, then your GCF is just 1. So if they have all different letters, and if their numbers are prime, or if like it's 2 and 3, then you're just going to say my GCF is 1. That should help you on your homework in a moment. Okay, so that's finding the GCF. Now we need to use that GCF in order to factor some polynomial expressions. So they're going to give you one of these polynomials that are all nice and multiplied out already, and you want to undistribute. You want to figure out what things multiply together to give you your polynomial expression. Okay, so here's the process we're going to use. It's kind of the same idea where you're going to go through and look for each of the factors of these things. So if I go through here, I'm going to draw my little T underneath my number. I know that 1 and 24. Then I have 2 and 12. We did this one up above. 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. Again, the only reason I know those real fast is because we did it above. Then I'm going to list out all my letters underneath on their own little column. So I get A, and then 1, 2, 3 X's. And I'm going to do the same for 56. You can always use your calculator to look for things that divide into 56. So 1 and 56. I know 2 goes in because it's an even number, so 56 divided by 2 is 28. Okay, again, I can look in my calculator, see if 3 works, see if 4 works. 4 does work. 4 times 14. And then the last one that I know is 7 and 8. 7 times 8 gives me 56. Okay, and then again, I'm going to list out my letters. This is just calculator math. I'm going to do the same thing for 8. 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Oh, that was much nicer. And then 1x, just 1x. So now I get to go through here, and I'm going to find the biggest thing on all of these 3 charts. So I need to find the biggest number on all of them. It's not 24, it's not 12. There's an 8 here, an 8 here, an 8 here. Okay? So once you find that 8, you're going to cross off any other things in the T chart, but not the thing next to it. Leave that thing that's next to it. So any of the other things get crossed out. They're still factors, they're just not what we're interested in. Then we're going to go through and find common letters between them. There are A's here, there are A's here, but there are no A's here. So we can't use that one. Here's 1x that I can take out of all of them. So this is going to be my GCF, just like before. So I'm going to take that GCF, pull it out to the side, and then write a big old parentheses. Okay, so my 8x was my GCF like we found in 1, 2, and 3. Then I take it out to the outside of the parentheses. Now you're going to write whatever is left over in the inside of the parentheses. So anything you didn't cross out or circle is going to go in the inside of the parentheses. So this 3 from the first one's going to go in here. 2 A's, and then 2 X's. Again, those are the things that got left over that I didn't cross out or circle. I'm going to go ahead and take this minus sign and put it in between these 2 things because that was what was there in the first place. So then there's going to be a 7 that I didn't cross out or circle, an A, and an X. Okay, again, I'm going to take this sign, put it in between, and then I'm going to look, okay, there was a 1 next to the 8 and nothing else, so just a 1 left over. So this would be your factored expression using your GCF. And if you either did your distribution or you drew a 1 by 3 box, you would see that this was going to get you the same exact thing that you started with, and that was the whole point. Okay, we're going backwards from what we did last time. Okay, let's try one more before I make you go on your own. We have 14xz minus 18xz squared plus 4x squared z. Again, you're going to do the same thing that we've been doing. You're going to draw your t's underneath your letter, or underneath your numbers. So 1 and 14, 2 and 7. That's it for that. So I'm going to list out my letters. Okay, 18. A couple more factors here. 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, and that's it for that one. And then x and 2 z's. Okay, and then 4. Again, 1 and 4, and then 2 and 2, and that's it. Don't forget about those 2's. Then I have 2 x's and 1 z. So now I'm going to go through, find my GCF of those of all three of those terms. So I look, and it looks like the biggest number I can take out is just a 2. Right, here's a 2, here's a 2, here's a 2. So I'm going to cross out any other sets of factors that I didn't use. Then I'm going to look for the least number of x's. So there's 1 here, and then there's only 1 z. So I'm going to list out then my GCF. My GCF here would be 2xz. So put that outside the parentheses. And I'm going to write whatever's left over that's not crossed out and not circled. So in the first term I have a 7. That's it. There's a minus in between them, so minus. There's a 9 left over and a z. Plus sign in between them, so that's going to be a plus sign in between. Finally a 2 and an x. Okay. Again, we're undistributing, and that should be your final answer. If you notice, there's nothing else in here that I can divide into the stuff in that middle section. Okay, I'd like you to pause here and try number 6 on your own. Alright, go ahead and check your work. And if you notice up here, I did not list out all my factors of my numbers here, my coefficients, because I saw that since there was only a 2 in this first term, that I'm probably not going to get anything bigger than a 2 out of the other ones as well, since they were all even. So I just went ahead and said, okay, it's just 2 that I'm taking out. I'm just going to go ahead and write that one. I did list out all my x's, and I saw that the smallest number of x's I had was 3. So I could take out 3 out of all of them. And then when I took out my 2x cubed, I was left with 1x, so I just left 1. There's a minus here, so I put a minus, a 2, a minus here, put a minus, 6x to the 4. Okay, same thing works on number 7. If you look at this and the first thing that you see is that 22 and 44 and 11 automatically divide by 11, then why list out your other factors? Okay, if I know that it's, 2 and 11 that get me that, and then 1a and 2 x's, and if I list out this one and see that it's just 4 and 11, just 1x, and then obviously 1 and 11 makes 11, and then an a and an x. Okay, doing this step, you're going to see that the more you do this, the less you're going to need to go through and actually list out all your factors. You're going to be like, duh, there's an x in all of them, I can take out an x. Okay, but if you want to list out your factors, again, 11 is the biggest thing that I can take out of anything in this expression, and then there's only a's in 2 of them, so I can't take out an a, but there is an x in all of them, so I'm going to take out 1x. I'm left with then my GCF is 11x. Then I'm going to go ahead and multiply by whatever's left, so 2ax minus, because there's a minus sign in between them, then 4, no letters, and then plus 1a, or just a. Okay, so again, the more you do this, the faster you're going to get at it. Last thing I have to tell you about is something like number 8, where you'd go through and you'd do all of your lovely factoring and show me, hey, this is going to have a 1 and a 10 and a 2 and a 5. And right here, this, I forgot my e's. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 e's. Then I have 1 and 6 and 2 and 3 and 3 e's. I'm pretty sure at this point my GCF is going to be a 2 because they're all even and they're kind of weird together. So I'd have 2 and 4 and then just 1 e. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say, well, I know I have a 2, cross out anything that's not right next to the 2, and then I only have 1 e that can come out of all of them. So my GCF then is 2e, take your sign in your front, so negative 5 e to the 4 minus 3 e to the 2 minus 4. Now this would be really great on a regular day. Unfortunately, you can't have all of your factors be negative. If you notice, this is something in common for all of them. They all have a negative sign. So if I was trying to find the greatest common factor, I'd need to take out the minus. So if every single thing is negative inside your parentheses, take out a negative. Or really what you can do is change all your signs. So you would say instead of having positive 2e, it'd be negative 2e. Instead of being negative 5e to the 4, it'd be positive 5e to the 4. Same thing, this will turn into a positive, and this last 4 will turn into a positive. So that would give you your final answer. So that's just being kind of nitpicky. Being completely factor is going to mean taking out that negative as well. Okay, so your homework assignment tonight is going to be number 1 through 9 on this page. Again, please read the instructions carefully. The first set of first 3 are only asking you to find the GCF, whereas the next ones are actually factoring. Okay, I hope y'all have a great day. Remember, homework help will be posted at Miss K Math. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to go into tutorials, ask them to your shoulder partner, but you should start working on your homework in your packet. Bye!